types of study and what you can expect. Today I'm giving you an oral lecture style presentation, taking the material directly from the Success For You guide. So have it open either on screen or in hard copy in front of you, starting on page 30. Attending class. When you're completing face-to-face, so in-person training, there's usually a class attendance requirement. For example, quite commonly, you must attend at least 80% of each unit of study. If you're going to be absent and you know ahead of time, for an example, for an unavoidable specialist appointment, something like that, let your trainer know ahead of time so that they can provide any learning material that you'll miss during that session, and you can complete that in that time period and you won't have to catch up. If you're suddenly unable to make a class on the day, such as for an illness, then ring the training provider and let them know. And it's up to you to make arrangements on how you're going to catch up your study. Your trainer won't chase you up, your training provider won't ring around after you to provide you with the information. You need to actively take steps to find out how you can get the material you've missed and catch up. Okay, back to Success For You. At classes, you'll hear from the trainer and benefit from the information he or she provides by using PowerPoint slides, videos, photos, diagrams and models. Trainers will present information and help you understand by giving examples and sharing stories of their experiences. Another important role of the trainer is to promote discussion, assist debate amongst the students, and encourage you to explore ideas and support you in your study. So the trainer won't always give you all the information. Often they'll take a different opinion than what they'll necessarily believe and get you to answer against what they're saying. They'll pose questions to get you thinking about your own experience, about how you'd approach a particular scenario, and they're facilitating you really thinking about and actively taking on the material that's being presented in your study. Before class, it's important to always recheck your timetable to ensure you know the right time and location for your next class. That's particularly important if you're studying in a large training provider such as a TAFE. Timetable changes can happen, and you need to know the training provider's procedure for where you access that sort of information. It might be on an internet or an intranet internal to the organisation, and how to find and locate where that class might be. It's polite to turn off your mobile phone, or if you absolutely have to have it on, like you are responsible for a child or an elderly parent who might be in care, then at least turn it to vibrate so that you're able to leave the room and take that call without disturbing the other students. Make sure that you have all of the books and notes that you need for that lesson. Make sure that you've completed the required reading. This is often set as homework in class the previous week. So if you miss a class, it's your responsibility to find out the required reading and any work you've missed, as well as catch up on any pre-reading before the next class. Review your class notes from the previous session and have what you need to take notes and jot down ideas and any questions. So, note paper, a folder, pens, pencils, highlighters, sticky notes, those sorts of things. During class, you'll be using your active listening skills that we've already learnt about. Stay focused. take a few deep breaths and have a stretch if you're feeling yourself come off track, and really actively try and get your mind back on what you need to be focusing on. Take notes. Participate, speak up, ask questions. Please don't feel scared to ask questions. If you don't understand something, you need to let your trainer know so that they can help you. Chances are, if you have a question, many others probably have that same question but might be too scared to ask. So by asking the question, you're being the brave person who is helping not only your own but everybody's learning. Show respect to all the participants and trainer, and be inclusive of different beliefs, viewpoints and experiences. Be open to other people's opinions and ways of thinking. Doesn't mean you have to take everything on, but you're being open to learning from others, not just the trainer but others in the room with you. Be flexible and adaptable. Learn from each other. Appreciate the value of others. By learning from the other students, you've got the benefit of not just the trainer's experience, but everyone else in that room with you. Work together with others. Sometimes you might have group projects to work on, and we'll be looking at that shortly. Be prepared to lead a discussion or activity. And accept that there's not always answers to everything, or sometimes your trainer might not be able to provide an answer. A good trainer will endeavour to follow up any question that they can't answer on the spot and get back to you. And sometimes there might be multiple answers depending on the scenario or just a person's preferences. There's not necessarily just one right answer to everything. After class, review your notes, complete them if they're a bit rushed. Follow up any issues raised or any questions you have. Identify where you need to do further study. Consider getting together with other students to study. Sometimes making a small study group where you can get together and talk about the material, do the pre-reading together, do any home tasks, and can be very motivating and beneficial as far as getting the homework and the pre-reading done. It doesn't necessarily need to be the whole group. It might just be 2 of you or 3 of you. Try your best to be independent with your study, but do seek support from the trainer if required. Complete any set tasks in readiness for your next class. Alright, online study as a different mode of study from face-to-face study that we've already been talking about. Online study, as we know, is different from face-to-face study. We don't have the non-verbal cues from other students and the trainer. It can feel isolating, and this is only some people's experience. It can feel isolating, like you're studying alone in a vacuum. If you decide to study online, there are some tips to help on page 32, which we'll get to. Remember, you're responsible for being completely organised and keeping up to date with your studies. So in online study, it's another level again of independence and responsibility and commitment to your studies as a student of online study than as a student in face-to-face study where you have an allocated trainer. Depending on your training provider, with online study, you might have an allocated tutor, you might have an e-learning assistant who is readily available to assist you. But depending on the provider also, you may find that you're completely on your own. Online study includes online classes, discussion blogs, and additional readings. It's a very reading-based form of study often.
There are links to further sources of information, quizzes, assignments, and sometimes portals for submitting assessment tasks online. Usually logins are monitored by the trainer and used to check that you're participating in the unit. So that's like your attendance requirement, is them monitoring your engagement with the learning. Learning online might seem strange when you compare it to attending a class. In class, you look at a topic, listen and communicate whilst being with others. You're able to see the reactions, the body language, the facial expressions and tone of other students and the trainer to help your understanding of the issue. Those non-verbal cues are not present when you're studying online. My own experience of studying online quite recently at a university level, a postgraduate level, is that compared to my previous study face-to-face at university as an undergraduate, I find the online study, well, I have to be very independent and organised. That I don't have an issue with. But what I find difficult is when I have questions about, say, an assessment piece, which way to go with it, I don't have the trainer right there face-to-face to ask questions of and be able to listen to their tone and get that level of understanding when I'm clarifying with them. So I have the facility to ask questions on a discussion board, but of course they're writing their answer back and they're the one that's written the assessment task anyway. So it doesn't give me that additional clarification that I'm seeking necessarily. It can be difficult to gauge. And I'm also not getting the different ideas of other students that you just have when you're in the class together and you can bounce ideas off each other and kind of get a feel of whether you're on the right track in your thinking or not. So that aspect with the training provider that I'm studying with is quite absent from my online study. Tips for online learning over on page 32 include exploring online subject resources, links, discussions and assessments to give you an overview of the unit content. Do more than just the set readings and tasks. Complete the additional tasks that are posted. So do interact with the web links. Do listen to any podcasts. Do review lectures. Do view vodcasts, videocasts. And do be as actively involved in your learning as you can be. Sometimes people think that with online learning they can just hit straight to the assessments, but you'll get much more out of it if you can actively engage with all of the different types of learning material that they provide. Participate often, sign in regularly and make a point of contributing to discussions and any wiki spaces or discussion groups that they have. Ask questions of your trainer and peers to clarify information. This will also encourage others to speak up. Ask the trainer for help as soon as you need it. And request assistance from the IT help desk if you have a technology issue.